Hello, this is Janet Michael. In addition to hosting The Valley Today each weekday at noon on the River 95.3, I also produce podcasts. And I'm excited to kick off Season 2 of our podcast series in partnership with Rappahannock Electric Cooperative. It's called We Are REC. Every week we'll release a new episode talking to different people from REC about a host of different topics. We'll get tips for saving money on your electric bill. We'll talk about renewable energy and the impact it can have in our communities. We'll get some behind-the-scenes info about what happens when the power goes out in a storm. Don't miss out on information about community grants, scholarships, REC-hosted events, and more. Get every single episode on our website at theriver953.com under the podcast tab, or you can subscribe for free in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or on Spotify. Just do a quick search for We Are REC. Hello and welcome to the Valley Today. I am your host, Janet Michael. It is Tourism Tuesday as you are listening to the show today. However, we have pre-recorded it over Zoom. It is much easier to corral my Luray Page County guests if we can do it on a computer screen, though. I am really disappointed, Edie. We were talking before we started recording for the radio show that we're not at your guest's location because a pleasure garden where you can sit and just see the flowers and the plants and the pollinators would be my ideal way of spending a day. So I'm kind of bummed that we're not with Leslie today.
Yeah, I would much rather be there than staring at a computer.
Well, that's only because right before we turned on the mics to record, she said she had a hammock and you're in desperate need of a nap this afternoon. Leslie Mack is joining us on the Zoom screen. She is, I'm going to say one of the owners because I know this is a labor of love with you and your husband, Tom, and it's Birdsong Pleasure Garden in Luray. So Leslie, tell me a little bit about Birdsong and exactly what is a pleasure garden?
Okay, well, thanks a lot, Janet and Edie, for inviting me and us to be here for the radio show. I'll have to invite anyone who's listening, of course, to give us a call anytime to make an appointment to come and visit, and we'll give you all that information a little bit later. A pleasure garden actually started back in the 1800s. It started with actually private gardens. In the 1600s, people would go to each other's private gardens to visit, which is a lot like what this is. This is a private garden. People are welcome to call, make an appointment, and come, and we'll give you a garden tour. In the 1600s, that developed a little bit more into a little bit larger and more open to the public. It wasn't quite as fancy as if you think about Versailles, if anybody's ever seen pictures of Versailles, that was in the 1700s, the French style there. So in the 1700s then, as with Versailles, it was a place to go and be seen, to see and be seen, to rub elbows, as they say, with people that were considered either upper class or lower class from you. It didn't matter. Everybody was equal in the garden, which is a pleasant idea for me anyway. Everybody is equal in the garden. And you could watch performers, you could listen to music, you could watch painters, sculptors, dancers, magic shows. It varied. Now, of course, we don't have that here at Birdsong Pleasure Garden. We don't have magic shows or soaring fountains or anything, but we do have ponds and shaded areas and a bonsai garden and fruit trees and an alley, which is a covered straight walkway. And we have a promenade area, a native area. So we have a number of different gardening areas for people to come, walk through, enjoy, find out what their interests are. If they've always wanted to create a cutting garden, say, they can come look at the way we've done it, if they like it, they can take home ideas. With that in mind, it is the same idea that happened in the 1800s, that people would go to these wonderful places and say, oh my gosh, that's terrific. I want to go home and do the same thing. So a pleasure garden is a place where you can obtain ideas, enjoy yourself, enjoy the company of friends or people that you don't know.
So you mentioned this is a private garden. I know it's your home and the gardens surround where you live. Were they there when you bought the property, or did you and your husband create this massive garden?
It's a 3-acre garden. So when we initially bought the property, the only thing on the property were a few cedars, our neighbors had a few pine trees that we were able to use for a shade garden, an old maple tree, a willow tree, and some persimmons. So think of it, you often hear the term a blank slate. So think of it in terms of a blank slate. There was nothing here. So in the 28 years that we have been here, everything came in a pot, and we planted everything, designed it all ourselves. We maintain it all ourselves. Once in a while, we get a little help from some younger people that can climb up in trees and cut some limbs for us. But basically, we do it all ourselves. It's just amazing sometimes when we look at the old photographs and see nothing, and now it's a paradise for ourselves.
Now, are you a master gardener? Are you and your husband both master gardeners?
Yes, we went through the Master Gardener program. Thank you for asking. We went through the Master Gardener program back in 1996. So we've been Master Gardeners since then. We still participate. I'm the Page County Master Gardener Coordinator this time. And we have wonderful new people that have joined the Master Gardener ranks. So it's thrilling to have new people in Page County, as well as the surrounding other 4 counties that make up the Northern Shenandoah Valley Master Gardener Association.
So I went to your website before we started the recording today to just kind of get a sense, and I was looking at the list of all of the gardens, and you've touched on some of them, but you have herb gardens, water gardens, veggie gardens, shade and bonsai gardens. Did you have the big plan in your head when you guys started, or did you take it, they always say the biggest project is best started one piece at a time, baby steps. How did you guys put this whole plan together?
Initially, a vegetable garden, which I think a lot of people during this pandemic have been able to get interested in gardening a little bit more by starting a vegetable garden or a small flower bed. And basically it was the same way. So the vegetable garden started, then we did some flower gardens around the house, and then, well, there's a shade area over there. We could make a shade garden. But then we would go places like Longwood Gardens or Maymont or a myriad of places and say, wow, that is really cool. We love that pond. Oh, we love the way that's set up. We can go home and do it, which is a lot the same way that they did in the 16, 17, 1800s. They would go to these wonderful pleasure gardens, get ideas and bring them home and do it themselves. So yes, we've found new ideas by imitating others.
Now, I assume this wasn't your full-time gig. I'm guessing you and your husband probably had full-time jobs and were doing this nights and weekends at a minimum.
Yes, Janet, that's correct. Yes, we were school teachers for 22 years at Luray Elementary School. We were lucky enough to be in the same building together, which we both really appreciated and loved. Tom was a 4th grade teacher and I was a 3rd grade teacher. So we had the summers off. We could work in the garden, vacations, and then any time in between that there was gardening available, the 2 of us together really enjoy it. I know it's really hard sometimes for families that one person really likes gardening and the others, oh, well, I'll help you do this, or I'll mow, but with 3 acres of a garden, you really need 2 full-time people. And Tom is fabulous at helping, and gosh, he's out there now doing he was out there early this morning collecting beetles and then weed eating for a while and mulching. And so it's it is a full-time, and it's great to have two people that are dedicated to make it so.
I will say that's kind of how things work in our house. I'm all about, I know what I want and I think I know where I want it to go, but my husband is truly the manual labor and the one that keeps everything alive, because I would kill a plastic plant.
Oh.
And he loves to go to Lowe's. I was very excited when you said that everything kind of started off in a pot. He loves when we go to make a trip to Lowe's, and he will go to the way back and he will buy as many of the dead plants as he can find for $1 or $3, bring them home, and they are amazing now. And I get the good deal, which I love, and he brings them all back to life, which he loves.
That's terrific. Yeah, and you're saving the plant too, and you're adding to the environment. And you know, if you are into native gardens as well, you're helping all the bees and the butterflies and the birds, and eventually that helps us too, our survival. So yeah, that's fabulous. Even though the pandemic has really been awful. In so many words, the idea that people have really gone back to nature, have started gardens, becoming interested in them, growing something. Oh, I got a zucchini. This is the first time I've ever had a zucchini. And yeah, that it's just, it thrills, makes me so happy.
Well, let's take a quick break. When we come back, can we talk a little bit about the fact that it is a private garden? You mentioned the pandemic. I know that you had to tweak some things. Most of the times people still had to make an appointment to come anyway, but some of that has changed even more so because of COVID-19. Can we talk about that a little bit? And I also noticed on your website that you sometimes offer classes, because I would imagine a garden of that size is also a teaching garden to a certain degree. Can we touch on that in the second half?
Yes, absolutely. And then we'll hear what the last thing Edie's grown too lately.
Oh yes, that I cannot wait to hear. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to continue our conversation today. It is Tourism Tuesday as you're listening to the show. We are recording it on a Tuesday, but a week in advance, with Edie from Luray Page Chamber of Commerce and Leslie Mack from Birdsong Pleasure Garden. We're going to talk more with both of them in just a couple of minutes.
Do you know anyone who is struggling with financial hardships because of coronavirus? Our new webinar called Coping with the Money Crunch can help. We'll talk about immediate options to consider, revising or creating a spending plan, and lots of community resources. Then we'll cover how to narrow your priorities, contact creditors, and avoid scams and risky loans. The webinar is free, and you can either join by phone or through Zoom on a smartphone, tablet, or computer. You can find out more by visiting the Northern Shenandoah Valley Financial Education Program on Facebook or calling Karen Poff at 540-635-4549. Let me show you how to make your own plan or help someone you care about get through the crisis. Call 635-4549 or visit at NSV Financial Education on Facebook today.
Welcome back to the Valley today. I am your host, Janet Michael. It is Tourism Tuesday as you are listening to the show today, Luray Page County edition. That means Edie is on the Zoom screen with me. Edie, thank you for hanging out with me a little bit today on the Zoom screen.
Always, you know it's a pleasure.
Also on the Zoom screen with us is Leslie Mack. She is the owner of Birdsong Pleasure Garden. And we talked a good bit in the first segment, Leslie, about all of the different things that people can enjoy when they come and see your gardens. They do have to call first. And you were talking about the fact that it's a private garden, which is how they originally started in the 1600s. How has COVID-19 impacted that? Because people had to call ahead of time, right?
Yes, and they still do. If they, we have a Gmail account, and we also have the website for information there, or just phone call. And you can either, or texting, that works as well. But just call, contact us somehow. Tell us what days that you're interested in coming, day or days, and what time. And as long as our calendars jive, then we're good to go. Sometimes we get folks that are here just for the day. They just happen to be going through Luray Caverns, and they'll pick up one of our rack card brochures. And of course, they call that day. And so as long as we're still available, we're happy to be here and walk them through the garden. It usually takes about an hour and a half. There are some garden enthusiasts that come through the garden, and we've spent up to 3 hours walking through the garden and looking. So it just depends on your level of interest, how much time it takes. But yeah, give a call, just holler at us.
And right now, in the middle of COVID-19, you still have to follow certain protocols as well, per the governor's order, even though it's outside, if a large group is coming.
Correct, yes. Typically, we've had we've had bus tours, we've had garden clubs come, we've had photo shoots of people, kids groups, families come, singles come, people with their pets. We welcome everyone, but of course there's not as many bus tours, or none anymore. And the garden club, the Hill and Valley Garden Club, actually had planned an afternoon tea and tour, which they are now starting to have yearly in June. And that was scheduled to be here, but of course we canceled that. Hopefully we can have it next year. But with large groups, depending upon the number, usually we're trying to stay around 10. If you're coming for a picnic and there's more than 10, we do have tables and a lovely old maple tree with shade that you can stay underneath and feel comfortable. But we are not having restrooms available. And we do ask everyone wear a mask the entire time we're here. If you're taking pictures, of course, and you wouldn't be wearing a mask. But the majority of the time that you're here, you would be wearing a mask. And we're wearing masks as well.
Well, right before we went to break, you had said that you wanted to find out what the last thing was that Edie has grown. And quite frankly, when we went to break, I asked her that question because I was just sure it wasn't going to be that she was just going to laugh and say nothing. And she had a lot of answers. So Edie, we're going to put you on the spot and tell Leslie and I what it is that the last couple of things that you have grown.
Yes, so at my house, we have a couple different hibiscus trees, lots of regular plants like geraniums, petunias. We have a couple ferns that have taken off, and I have a whole lot of houseplants.
Yeah, what's your favorite houseplant?
Probably the begonia, the angel wing begonia, or
Ooh, yeah.
the Zanzibar plant, because I like the name. And they're really hard to kill.
Yeah, so do you have a room that's dedicated to all your houseplants, or do you have them everywhere in the house?
So my house is divided up into sections, and my mom has a place for her plants. I have a couple in our bedroom, and then the living room where we have our TV and stuff is where the rest of them are.
Yeah, the Master Gardeners just got done making about 57, I believe, houseplants that they gave to the hospital workers. We just got done doing that yesterday. So all the staff, the custodians, everybody that was there, just as a little thank you for them. So houseplants are great for people. You usually, a lot of people say they can't grow houseplants, but usually the houseplants are the easiest things to grow.
A couple of years ago at Garden Fest, I picked up a Christmas cactus. Oh, wow. And whoever it was a master, because of course everything at Garden Fest is for the most part grown by master gardeners in the Shenandoah Valley. And I bought it thinking that I was going to kill it because that's always my first assumption. And I had always heard that Christmas cactuses were very difficult to get to thrive, that they don't always bloom. I had heard all of these horror stories, but this was in this ginormous ceramic pot. And it was like $10. And I thought, you know what? The pot itself is worth, even if I don't make it. And that has probably been 4 or 5 years ago. It has bloomed every year. I am so proud of myself. It's the only thing that I take care of all by myself. My husband doesn't touch it other than to come and look when I say, look, it's blooming, it's blooming. And I always just tell people, give it a shot, because the worst that's going to happen is you're going to learn what not to do.
Right, exactly. Yeah, most people, more than anything, they overwater. And that's the quickest way to kill anything. It's better to keep it just moist or let it dry out just a little bit. And it's easier for it to recover from a little dryness than being saturated.
So do you find that your previous job as a third grade teacher comes in handy when you're doing these tours and being able to teach and educate people on what's in your garden and how they could possibly transition something like that into their own house?
Yes, it is a lot of fun to talk with people and find out what they're interested in and try to direct them then. Ooh, well, if you like that, maybe you'll like this, or oh, you thought about trying that? Well, here, let's go over here and let me show you how it worked this way, and then give it a shot when you get home. I used to have my kids at the end of school year, this was a long time ago, but I used to have my kids out at the end of the summertime. So they would come out for a little picnic and hand crank ice cream and do all that kind of thing. And then the 4-H junior garden club that I had a sleepover. So we would have a fire and roast hot dogs and all that kind of thing. So I had to figure out a way initially to keep the kids, this is where you walk and this is where you don't walk. So I found some interesting fencing to make, just a bent willow sort of along the pathway, and have kept that up ever since. But we've had 4-H groups out here, and I have a chart of ideas that kind of where's Wally sort of thing. See if you can find these things. How many bird boxes are there? How many stars are there that you see in the ground? Just a whole list of different things to find. And then if, whoever gets the most, it doesn't really matter. They all get a little something, a pack of seeds or a plant or something like that at the end. So I always try to make it geared for any age, whether they're 9 or 90, that everybody can find something of interest here.
Well, and one of the things that I had mentioned in the first segment, I wanted to make sure we touched on before we wrap up, is workshops. Now, typically, if we weren't in the middle of a pandemic, you'd probably be doing a lot more of them on a more regular basis. But you have a really interesting one that's potentially coming up in November.
Correct. Yes. A lot of people like to make wreaths for their doors, their inside their house. So they can come and, depending upon what size they want to make, they can I'll show them how to cut the branches so it's beneficial for the trees, and how to wrap the wire and make their own wreaths, so that they can learn this one time and then they can do it for the rest of their lives. They'll have it and they can share the idea with their friends and their friends' friends and so on. That's usually during November and December, and that's just a matter of calling up saying, I'd like to come on such and such a day and time, and great, yeah, we'll set up a workshop for that day. There are other businesses in the area, maybe Fort Valley Nursery or something like that, where they have hundreds of people that come and do workshops, or Weber's Garden Center up in Winchester. But we're just a small private 1-on-1 or 10-on-10 or however many people end up coming. And then we also have classes if you're just interested in cutting gardens, for instance, or bonsais, or making a pond. Or you can come and we'll make an appointment, and we'll focus your entire time here mainly on that idea that you're interested in. You're certainly welcome to still tour around the gardens, but if you're mainly interested in starting a pond, we'll focus on that idea.
I love that. So you can see the end result. So you have that as your goal in your head when you're figuring out how you're going to make that work in your own backyard.
Correct.
If somebody is listening today and they want to get more information, they want to make an appointment to come out and tour the gardens, what is the best way for them to do that?
Phone call would be 540-743-9389. Gmail would be birdsongpleasuregardens@gmail.com, or you can text at the same phone number. That would work as well.
And I'll put links to your website and your Facebook and the phone number and everything up on the show notes page of the podcast. So,
thank you.
And I'm going to send you some pictures of my outside garden just so you can tell my husband if he's doing it wrong, and me if I'm doing it right.
No. You can never do it wrong.
So, Edie, before we wrap up, anything happening at the chamber you need to tell us about?
On Thursday, July 23rd from 5:30 to 7, we have a Women in Business Ladies Night Out. This time it will be at Wisteria Farm and Vineyard. It's a chance for women who are members of the chamber to just come out, enjoy some wine, hang out with your friends. And then every Tuesday and Thursday, we have coffee and conversation via Zoom or live on Facebook. We haven't set up August yet, but I know we will be doing them. And we also have just received our new visitors guides as well for 2020.
I just received mine in the mail.
It is nice. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, we worked really hard on it this year, just like every other year. It's a great resource if you want information on activities, attractions, restaurants, shops. It's got a little information about pretty much everything we need to do here.
And if somebody's listening, Edie, and they want to get a copy of that mailed to them, can they just call the chamber or email the chamber?
Yeah, so the easiest way to do it is to email us at info@luraypage.com. When we get the information, we will send you one out, or you can give us a call at 540-743-3915, or even contact us through Facebook if that's easier.
Well, that is going to be it for today's episode of Tourism Tuesday. We have pre-recorded our show over Zoom, having a conversation with Edie from Luray Page Chamber of Commerce and Leslie Mack from Birdsong Pleasure Garden. Thank you both for spending some time with me this afternoon. I really do appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Janet. Thank you, Edie. Thank you for inviting me. Y'all have to come out sometime. We'd love to have you, and we'll compare gardens.
Absolutely. So meet me back here tomorrow. I will have a brand new episode of The Valley Today ready to go for you just a few minutes after noon.